So Republican Senator Tom Cotton has long pressed top brass. He's a veteran as well, and he wants answers about the issues of wokeness emerging in the military.
An airman told us their unit was forced into a racist exercise called a privilege walk, where members of the wing were ordered to separate themselves by race and gender in order to stratify people based on their perceived privilege. So I want to ask a few simple but vital questions. Mr. Secretary, do you believe that our military is a fundamentally racist organization? Yes or no, please.
A lot of this goes back to the issue of whether or not we are mission-driven in the military above everything else with all these other issues that keep creeping in. We'll talk to the senator moments away as he tells us what he thinks of the Navy turning to a drag queen to boost recruitment. Will that work?
Girls, come on. Leave the saving the world to the men? I don't think so. I don't think so.
With that, we bring in Senator Tom Cotton, an Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran and member of the Armed Services Committee. Senator, always good to have you with us. What really struck you in there today? Going through that hearing, there was quite a lot that stood out to me. So I'm curious what really landed with you.
Martha, one thing that the hearing brought home today is just how much more aggressive Russia has gotten, not just in Ukraine, but against the United States. You and your viewers probably all remember when Russia's jet intercepted one of our drones over the Black Sea and forced it down. The head of the Air Force Command in the Middle East has said they've become extremely aggressive with our aircraft in Syria, like they're almost spoiling for a fight. Our commander in Europe last week said that he's never seen so much Russian sub-activity in the North Atlantic. And the reason for all this, I think, is that every time Russia becomes more aggressive, Joe Biden becomes more timid and diffident and hesitant. So, for instance, in the Black Sea, we're no longer flying in the international airspace where we once were flying. All that does is teach Vladimir Putin, if he pushes the envelope, Joe Biden will back up even further. That's dangerous in Europe. That's dangerous in the Middle East. It's dangerous for what it teaches Xi Jinping in China as well.
Yeah. Here's General Barrier on that earlier. Watch this.
In my view, we are at a particularly dangerous place with Russia. Putin is not seeking an off-ramp, and Moscow has asserted publicly that it remains committed to achieving its objectives in Ukraine through military force.
With regard to the attack that we saw in the Kremlin, what did you think of the answer from the DNI, Admiral Haynes, about whether or not, there was participation by the U.S. or Ukraine?
Well, she said we didn't have enough intelligence to make a definitive assessment, which I think reflects the poor state of our intelligence collection against some of our adversaries. The intelligence agencies under the Biden administration can find plenty of money for electric vehicle chargers at their headquarters or solar panels, or worrying about whether sub-Saharan African countries are passing LGBTQIA legislation, but they're lacking when it comes to try to figure out the plans and the intentions of Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping or the Ayatollahs. Now, there are real reasons to doubt that this was coming from Ukraine. Ukraine has flatly denied it, something that they haven't done in many other strikes that have occurred inside of Moscow. Vladimir Putin is widely known not to spend the night at the Kremlin very often. Those drones could not have damaged the Kremlin severely. So I don't think we should take Russia's claims at face value, but the fact that we couldn't definitively rule it out from the beginning this morning, I think reflects on the poor state of intelligence collection that we've seen in the Biden administration against our enemies.
Putin's history, he has at times provoked his own side in order to motivate his people in the mission that he was undertaking. We'll see what ends up coming out from this story. With regard to just switching gears here to this recruiting influencer, Joshua Kelly. I mean, the goal obviously is to have the best possible United States military, the best Navy that we can have, and to have people in it who are mission driven. And that is above everything else. So what do you think's going on here? I think we have a little bit of this to look at. Go ahead, Senator.
So, Martha, Martha, the
So,
Navy,
Senator, you served in Iraq and Afghanistan. What do you think's going on here?
who only knows? But Martha, the bottom line is that the Navy, like most of our services under President Biden, face a recruiting crisis. But using a drag queen ambassador is not a solution to that crisis, is an example of a major cause of the crisis. Young Americans join the military because they want to serve our nation, and they're patriotic, and they want to feel camaraderie, and they want excitement and adventure. They join to become warriors. They don't join to become social justice warriors. And a video like this or an initiative like this in recruiting a drag queen ambassador is only likely to worsen our recruiting crisis, not help resolve it.
Yeah. Well, you can only imagine what they think in Russia and China when they look at these recruiting videos for the U.S. Navy. And you know, the mission, obviously, I don't have to tell you, sir, but is always to sort of leave your individuality kind of behind and become part of a cohesive team. So that's what we're talking about here. Thank you, Senator. Always good to see you.
Thank you.